3, 2, 1, and we are live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
And here we are, back again.
Yeah.
How you doing? Do you know that your show on our channel today, this show will be 730?
Wow.
Yeah.
730.
Who knew?
Not that we had 730.
No, just in general. I realized that this morning. We just got done recording No Snobs or Knobs, and that was 729. I was like, wow, Paul's show's going to be 730. I think you have like 150 plus shows between shorts and shows that we can.
We've had a good run for
our
third season, so
doing great.
Obviously some following. Some people like to hear what we have to show and say, and we've got we continually find I guess and I'll say great artists. I mean, we have a lot of really good artists, and what is a great artist? I mean, it's all in your mind a lot of times, but we have a great artist today.
And not only that, but he's your twin. So literally, he could do you guys almost look alike. You're dressing alike. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah. So. Well, we share some similarities. Gordon Milne, very experienced artist from Alberta and just outside of Calgary, and he's been involved in the Olympic. Not so much for the Olympics, but he's done a lot of Olympic paintings of some of the Olympians, Canadian ones, and we'll talk to him about how he got those kind of commissions. I mean, it's different than going through an art gallery. I mean, this man has, you knock on doors and you find what you find, but he's also done figurative work of the Alberta Ballet, and his landscapes are to just be amazed at. So it's kind of like, I think understanding that how everybody does things differently, but when you look at all the 3-4 things that he does, they all have a signature look to them, and I think it's something that artists need to look at and say, how can I get my signature look when I'm doing a portrait or whether I'm doing a landscape? It's like a Picasso. You look at a Picasso and you say, he doesn't have to sign his name. You know who did it, and I think we're looking at a man that has that capability in what he's doing in his work and understand.
The other thing, when you talk about the Olympics and you talk about sports, the other one that would come to mind is Leroy Neiman. He had a very distinct look. When you saw something, you're like, that's a Leroy Neiman. So to be in that company, I don't know if you consider Leroy Neiman a great artist or not, but to consider the Picasso, Leroy Neiman, or someone in that caliber that you can, or a Dali, you look at their work, you're like, that's not their Dali. That's a compliment.
I would hope that Gord would even think that as well, because then he'd be in the financial realm of Neiman as well. So, but I doubt that.
After he's on this show, so he'll get there. There you go. That's why he's here.
Well, let's bring him in. Let's bring Gordon in.
Gordon, welcome. I can't even tell you guys apart. Anyway, have a wonderful interview. I'm going to let you two have it. I'll see you at the end with my favorite questions, and enjoy your interview.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Yeah. Well, good day to you, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, good. I can see this sunlight or something shining right on your forehead. So it's just like,
hang on for a second.
Just hang on.
I'll be right back.
Tune it back down a little bit, but
welcome to live interviews. Now
there we go. Yeah, a little bit more stuff. You get cross-lit. There you go. It's a little bit art classier that way.
What can you do?
sit in a dark studio. And the studio we see in the background. Oh man, you get big painting there. Anyway, I guess when I started in the introduction a little bit, we went through a little bit of a preamble yesterday and just talking about what we'll talk about. And I said, before you knew it, an hour went by, and I said, we have not so much physically in common as far as what kind of works we do, but we've been through down a similar road, and I think getting people up to speed. Can you tell us a little bit about, and the words art journey, kind of where you started in your career, like where were you in the beginning? Like, what started this? Not so much your painting, but where did you start?
I went to McMaster University and took the art program there, and I majored in printmaking and sculpture. And for the first probably, and I graduated way back in 1974. So for probably the first 15 years of my career, I was working primarily as a printmaker and doing lino cuts, wood cuts, and etchings mostly.
Nice.
Um, I reached a point around the late 90s where I was dissatisfied with what I was doing. I wanted to work bigger, I wanted to incorporate more color. And although I've never had any formal training as a painter, I decided to start painting and to start painting large. So most of my work is, at least with Olympian portraits and portraits of other people, most of my work is about 4 feet by 6 feet, in around there. Um, how I got started painting was uh, I realized I had no idea what I wanted to paint, but I decided that there were a lot of Olympians that I followed when I was younger that I had huge respect for. People like Diane Jones-Konahowski and Willie DeWitt and Michael Smith. So I decided to contact, the first person I contacted was Willie DeWitt, who at that time was a lawyer in Calgary. And I just explained to him that I would like to do his portrait, and he said, "Fine, whatever you want, just
Nice.
whatever I can do to help." And so his was the first portrait I did. Then I approached Michael Smith, uh, who decathlete back in the 80s, and the very same thing. So I had those two portraits to begin with, and I thought, where am I going from here? So I approached Diane Jones-Konahowski, who worked for a group called the Canadian Sport Institute,
Okay.
and explained what I wanted to do. And she took it to the people at the Sport Institute and decided that it was worth pursuing. So to make a long story short, they found a company, Arc Resources, who decided to commission me to do a series of portraits of Olympians. And
Yes.
at this point, there are 17 portraits in that particular collection. And I also did a smaller series of Olympic portraits, not so much portraits, but kind of generic examples of the Olympics, like hockey,
Okay.
figure skating, cross country skiing. And there are 6 of those, slightly smaller. And so that's kind of the beginning of my journey. At the very same time that I started doing that, I approached Alberta Ballet with the same kind of question, like I'd like to paint your dancers. And they put up a little notice on the bulletin board at the Alberta Ballet, and one dancer came forward. Her name was Lorena Jimenez, who now lives in Spain, and she wanted to have her portrait done. So I did her portrait, and that led to me being invited into uh, the morning classes at Alberta Ballet. And I went to morning class every Tuesday morning for 20 years, doing gesture poses.
Yeah.
doing
What a
gesture.
joy. Yeah. Well, it's really hard to get into those, I guess I'll say, situations. Especially these days. Like, there's just the different things, that the dynamics that can happen in a classroom. A lot of times they don't want those kind of things seen or recorded, or they don't want other, especially male people,
Yeah.
involved in the room space that they're in at the moment, unless they're part of the ballet. And being as an observer, and you're sitting there. I mean, many artists, they go to life drawing classes and life sessions, nude model and things like that. They paid to go and do those sessions. A luxury to have uh, experienced dancers. I mean, and going through the process. It feels very Degas-like. You're sitting, in a room, right? And again, he had that presence that he was able to do that in the day and paint and actually do a lot of his drawings and stuff in that context. So I'm going to get Stephen to start up our first image here while we yak away here. But so the style that you have is very, very distinctive style. How does this Alex Bauman, right? Correct? As a swimmer?
Yes.
Yeah. Olympian. And I remember watching him swim to gold years and years ago. And I saw this portrait. I said, this has got to be my lead image here. We're going to do the portraits to start with. So we're going to go through this series of portraits, and he didn't put everything in. I encourage people to go to his website, to Gord's website, when we're done, because we're just giving you a taste of what you're going to see here today. But the color palette, where does that come from when you do these portraits? Like, how do you determine that for each individual Olympian?
It's hard to answer that question, but I'd really have to say that well, with each Olympian and each portrait that I've done, I've always insisted on meeting the person who is sitting for the portrait. I just don't feel that you get a sense of a person if you're just trying to work from a photograph.
Right.
So what happens when I meet these people is we sit down and I do a drawing of them or 2 or 3 drawings of them while we chat. And it usually takes, I know, somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. And it's impossible not to get a sense of who a person is when you're sitting and talking. And while you're drawing, it's a very intimate connection, I find. So the color palette is generally something that results from a feeling that that I get from meeting the person. And obviously, with Alex Bowman, who spent his life in the water, blues and greens were a pretty obvious choice for me.
Yeah. Does it reflect a little bit also on the personality of that artist as well? Like those colors?
I think so. Yeah, I do, especially in the eyes with Alex. Alex has had a lot of hardships to go through in his life, and I believe that that you can see those emotions in his eyes. So I find also with portraits that I concentrate on the eyes more than anything else, and if you can kind of get a sense or a feeling from those people, then that's the place to start. I also pretty much always do like a full frontal portrait. I don't often do the 3/4 things. Sometimes, but not very often.
Yeah. But it has like, oh, we got a bit of background noise there from somewhere. But the chiseled look, I mean, I'm looking at that. It's very sculptural. So I can see your background for sure in your 2-dimensional works that you're building. They are very sculptural. This would make a beautiful sculpture. In bronze or clay or wood, could be anything. I mean, and I love the light, sense of light in it. I mean, that's what I like about this thing. You don't know like where the light really is coming from on this one. It's really bouncing around, but it's quite a. It took me enough that I need this as our starting point, I guess, as was day, and so here's. And I haven't got all the portraits up. I'm going to put a couple up here, but people probably can almost recognize who these people are. I never put any names on them, so we will talk about them individually. You mentioned Willie DeWitt to start with, and here's Willie on our left side here. He looks like a gangster. He has a real toughness about him, in this one.
He was a boxer, and a very, very, very nice man. But I found him to be very intimidating. Just his presence was intimidating. I wouldn't want to be standing across the ring from him. So yeah, I really wanted to get that intensity and that toughness about him because he was a great boxer, and
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's
and
just, and I'm just quickly looking. Sorry to interrupt a little bit. I'm just looking at this. And I quickly go glance over to our portrait to the right. I won't say who that is just yet, but you said again, you start in the eye. The eyes are really important, and I just noticed that Willie doesn't have any dots in his eye.
no, no, some do, some don't.
Yeah,
Uh, it's an intensity of the gaze, I think. I
yeah,
I think with Kurt Browning's portrait that I wanted to get a real liveliness and intelligence about him, and through the eyes, that kind of sparkling
yeah,
in the eyes, that it really demonstrates his personality.
yeah. And the multicolors in Kurt's stuff, the greens and the colors, the palette is vibrant. I mean, your work is hard edged, to start with.
Yep.
It's based on it is, like I said, chiseled kind of look, and you really get a form for the cheeks and the bone, the lips, the feeling, and it feels like you've gone in and just with clay, just peeled away a piece, peeled away until you get defined where you want to be. Um, and I just love that you can put colors together that normally wouldn't go together. I mean, here you've got purples and mauves and blacks and reds and greens and yellows, and there's this potpourri of color in this face, but it looks natural. It feels like it belongs there. Where Willie is more monochromatically there, in an analogous palette, but the grays become really important with Willie, though, I think.
I believe that there's no end of possibilities with color, and I advise other artists not to necessarily follow the rules. I mean, there are rules of color, but they're not absolute by any means.
Right.
And I feel that if you put a color down, that every other color around it should magnify or make the original color, the brightest and the best that it can be. So it doesn't matter what color is next to it. If it serves that purpose, then I feel that it works.
Right. No, and it's kind of a learned thing. I mean, you try it. I mean, you and I both have done that. You put oh, that doesn't work, and you just
Oh, yeah.
keep going until you feel it's right. But do you kind of have a rule of thumb, or like say if something looks too dark, I need to do something with it, or if something's the wrong hue, you have to change that?
Yeah, very much so. I spend probably more time sitting and looking at the paintings in their different stages than I do actually painting. And it's a matter of looking and seeing and imagining, really, what will that purple look like next to that blue? Is that going to work? And
Yeah.
sometimes what you see in your mind and you try is absolutely the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So it's very much a trial and error uh, kind of process, and very often I'll find that if, say, a yellow doesn't work, and I've tried everything in between, that I'll go to the direct contrasting color to it, which would be blue, and very often that will work.
Yeah.
It's an interesting process. It's a very kind of thoughtful process.
Mhm.
So it takes me a long time to do these paintings. I'm not a fast painter.
Yeah. And dealing with the hard edge is something else. You're really there has to be an assured brush when you're putting things in. I mean, when you start saying I'm going to make a straight line, you got to make a straight line. If it wiggles or squiggles, it has a different feeling. Like um, you've got the follow through has to be there, and that's what I feel in your work. It's got the follow through is there. I mean, it's not there's the indecision. It's not there. Like you got to take that away to have a confident piece. And Willie's is that way. When you look at how he disappears off into the one side of the palette where he's bright on the other one. So you've really sculptured. Hey, you're a sculptor, man. That's all there's to
Just don't have the studio space.
it. Well, isn't that the truth? I mean, you're fortunate that these pieces. So these pieces were um, purchased on behalf of a sponsor.
Yes.
What did they do with them? Did they make posters and things from them, or
Uh,
event?
there have been, well, they've been in several places. They went on tour for a short while to some public galleries around. Public gallery in Okotoks and one in Fernie, BC. Uh, they spent some time in the offices of the company that commissioned me to do that, Arc Resources, as kind of an inspirational pieces for their employees. They also are now on display at a building complex in downtown Calgary called the Ampersand.
Oh,
And
nice.
so the entire collection is on display there. It's a very large public space, and it's really an honor to have those hanging up there because people can see them.
So
Sorry.
we're getting some feedback from somewhere. Yeah, sorry, I don't know where that's coming from. So people can actually go to that building and look at the work in Calgary.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So I encourage anybody in the Alberta and Calgary areas that definitely go down and take a look at these things if they're publicly accessible. This is quite apropos. I mean, here we go. We have just concluded the Four Nations hockey tournament. Canada taking the gold, I guess we'll call it. And where did this one come from? This one's done quite a while ago. But,
Quite a while ago, yes. This was it's in a collection called the Sport Legacy Collection. And again, this was commissioned by the Canadian Sport Institute. These were 6 smaller paintings. They're about 40 inches by 30 inches.
okay.
And these are the generic ones for the various Olympic sports. This particular painting, and you'll understand this from my point of view, that when I was a kid growing up, it was a 16 league, and we remember no helmets, and we remember goalie equipment that I would be terrified to put on today. And this is based on a team, the 1952, I believe it was 52, Winnipeg Falcons, who were the first team to win an Olympic gold medal. This is one of my favorite paintings. I really love this one, and it means a lot to me.
Yeah, no, not only the subject matter, but the color palette is it's red, but it's not like red in your face red. You know, it's and it's deep and rich.
Yeah.
The goalie does the goalie have a bunch of scars on his face? And that's usually the stitches.
I actually I actually put Terry Sawchuk's mask on him.
Yeah.
But I tried to make the background like a stained glass window in a church.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
A friend of mine said the Church of Canadian Hockey. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it has a real warm feeling. There's a memorabilia feeling about it. I guess maybe I'm even looking at that, but there's kind of there's this old world colors to them. You know, they're it's a beautiful piece. I just love I love the heads, how they kind of there's a song in them. They go up and down, like they're not all the same height. You know, they are individuals, but as part of a team. And yeah, it's crossed hockey sticks. Beautiful piece. Yeah.
Thank you. This is another one from that same collection, cross country skiing, and it was based on Becky Scott.
Okay.
Yeah. And based on, I think the title of this is Whistler Pursuit. The Vancouver Games in 2010.
Okay.
That Whistler was the venue for cross country skiing.
Right. So again, you would meet with her and
for these generic ones, I didn't meet with any of the athletes. They're just generic paintings. But I did meet with Becky Smith when I did her portrait.
Okay. Yeah. No, it has a really nice wispy feeling of trees in the background. Like you've caught it really nicely, without putting a mountain there or something. It's just this sort of it tells you, there's skiing amongst the trees. And remember watching some of those on TV. I don't think we get quite the same kind of coverage we used to get.
No.
In the earlier days. We had better coverage than we get now. But at the end, I just love the colors. They're this multifaceted, and these ones are scalloped feeling like this. They're not a straight edge anymore. You've got that swoopy feeling of energy that's happening. You can feel the one leg going back, pushing, and you just. I think otherwise they becomes stereotypically flat, like cutouts, and
Yeah.
that's what I like about it. You got a hard edge painting that doesn't feel like it's cut out. It belongs with the background, and I really enjoy that. And the color palettes are just beautiful. Everyone's different that we go through here, and just everybody. We're gonna go through them all here today, and just hang in there because we think you've got to see them right down to the end. We go right through the landscape in the end. So multifaceted artist here, and I appreciate you spending the time with us to talk about some of this. It's just uh, juicy. This is a I love this. This is a juicy, energetic painting. It's 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 a piece of an Olympian. Is he throwing? Is he what do you call him? Does he,
It was
throw,
it was
sorry,
intended as a discus.
a discus thrower. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
And this is the first painting that was done in the Sport Legacy collection. And it was based just on a generic image of sport. And I wanted it to be very, very sculptural. And I wanted it to kind of harken back to the origins of the Olympics back in Greece. So that kind of Greek sculpture.
Do you get
Yeah.
do you get any feedback from the Olympics at all? The Olympic board on any of these pieces at all?
I was commissioned to do two pieces during the Olympics. One was Kevin. Oh, oh, I'm sorry. I've gone totally
I,
blank.
I
Uh,
didn't mean to put you on the spot on that,
no,
but
no, it's all right. It's my age. Uh,
it's
uh,
our age. It's actually our
yeah.
age.
But the curler from Edmonton. Uh, so the that one commission was based on who the athlete who kind of best represented the Olympics in 2010 in Vancouver, and the second one was a portrait based on the cultural aspects of the Olympics, and that painting, which isn't represented here, was of Alberta Ballet, and it represented the artistic director Jean Gramette and two of the dancers, Kelly McKinley and Nicole Caron. And the it's called the Emerald Cathedral. And Alberta Ballet had a major role in the opening ceremonies
Okay.
of the Olympics. So those two paintings came out of the Olympic Games. And outside of that, no, just a lot of interest from and feedback from the athletes themselves.
Yeah. No, that's great that you're able to meet with them. I mean, they're very giving, from my understanding. You've you've done a lot of we talked about Nancy Green. You're doing a portrait of a lady who didn't like her portrait, and I'm going, how did you put up with that? Like how like when you meet with her, how does like I heard that
Well,
yesterday and I burst out laughing. But is this how does that go about? Because I guess people expect certain things when they see a portrait of themselves, almost like they look in their own mirror and say, this artist portrait is going to look just like I look in the mirror when I look
yeah,
at myself.
yeah, yeah,
And if you give it to Picasso, it's not going to look like that when it comes back the other way. It's going to look, or Lichtenstein, like Roy, he's going to do it his way, right?
yeah.
Or Andy Warhol, it'll give the Andy Warhol look to it. So, can you tell people a little bit what happened with Nancy when you
Well,
met
with,
with her?
with Nancy Green, I really, really wanted to paint her, and but
So,
she,
Nancy Green, for people who don't know, is a downhill skier from BC, correct? And yeah,
from
okay.
the late '60s, her nickname was Mighty Mouse, and And for people our age, she was kind of an icon and really deserved and should have been in this collection, the Canadian Sport Heroes collection. But she was very resistant, and she was resistant because she had seen other examples of my work, and she did not like my style at all. So, so I decided that I would take a trip out to Kelowna, Kamloops, and up to Sun Peaks, which was the ski lodge that she and her husband were running at that time, and meet with Nancy in person. And so we met over breakfast, and I kind of tried to make my pitch to her and show her some other examples of my work, and she was not going for it at all. She just was not going for it. And finally, I just said to her that Nancy, I've been doing this for a long, long time, and whether you like my work or don't like my work, that really doesn't matter to me. I've developed a thick skin, but this is a project that's going to go forward, and it would be a shame if you weren't in it. And she changed completely at that point, and we had a great drawing session and chat about a day and a half after that, and she absolutely loved her final portrait. So it was a really interesting experience, and when I look back on it, I have really fond memories.
Well, sometimes, my goodness, sometimes you have that the camaraderie, and sometimes there's just that little edge to start with, and it creates a special piece at the end. And I didn't put it in. I was going to try and get it in at the last minute, but we're full already. So people definitely go to his website and take a look at Nancy Green. And what collection is that in? It's in the
It's called the Sports Heroes.
Sports Heroes section on his website.
Yeah, this was a painting. Canada Sports Hall of Fame had an event in Calgary, and I was asked to do a live painting, just make something up and do a live painting. And this is what it is: nice and loose, and still kind of graphic in its structure and its kind of makeup.
Yeah, it's a very moving piece. I mean, dynamically, and space around it gives you the feeling as to what it's about. I was going to crop this and make it bigger, and no, don't crop this painting at all. It's like that's a taboo anyway to start with. But you need that grounding space below the dark blue background to hold this tension point together. He's hanging there forever, like it's just or she. It's a universe. It could be either. I guess it's a unisex figure. So it's tough to do those. I mean, it's tough to create a figure that responds to the event, that's male or female, or whatever, right? And you say we just want a generic figure. That's easy, just a generic figure. And you go, oh my goodness, it's like, why not put the pressure on me here, right? Sometimes just say, draw this figure. They just give you, draw that one. But so do you work from photos? Or do you actually just go and watch? And
I did a little research before I went, just looked at pictures of high jumpers, and I just went for it.
So do you feel that they're happy with the gesture that is? Like a lot of times people get caught up in the specifics of what that sport is to be. In other words, if you miss a hop, skip, and jump, if you miss one of those steps, you didn't do it right. Or it's sort of like doing a bird portrait. If you don't put every feather in, it's really not that bird, right? One of those things. So do you ever get that kind of nothing at all?
No, I really don't. And in fact, the feedback that I've got from this painting has been really, really positive. And I think that the style that I use is pretty forgiving for that kind of detail that you were talking about. I think that at least what I see in this painting is the movement, and even in portraiture, even when it's a very solid image, I think there's a lot of movement to be seen in the faces, and that's something I try to work on all the time. And it's something that those 20 years of drawing at Alberta Ballet really helped me with, because figure drawing that you're taking a minute, 30 seconds to a minute to 2 minutes to try and capture something really loosens up your painting skills when you're working on a large painting with hard lines in it.
So do you work? Sorry, you're under painting or under drawing. Do you sketch that out first on the panel or your canvas, and then work up the layers the way you're doing it now? So basically, it's roughed out gesture like when you're working like that, or you work from a thumbnail or a sketch to start with.
I generally put a very, very loose drawing on the canvas, and and really through the entire process of the painting, it's continually drawing, changing areas and redrawing things and painting things out and adding them back in. So it starts as a concept, and then it kind of grows as the painting progresses.
Yeah, yeah. I think painting is just an extension of drawing. It really
I
is.
do, yeah.
Whether you're using a pencil or a brush, you're moving it about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what we're talking about, this gestural aspects of of, is this the ballet, probably some of the ballet
It
things
is,
you
yeah.
did?
These drawings are what I've done for many, many years, and it's interesting, for those out there who are engaged in figure drawing, don't kid yourself that if you leave it alone for a little while and stay away from it, it's the old thing. If you're not doing it, you're going to lose it. And so it's, yeah, I've worked really, really hard on these to try and just capture the movement and the gesture. The actual figure doesn't really matter. It's the movement that's important.
Yeah, people need, and I think artists of any experience, or even a young artist starting out, to understand, well, that's a scribble. It's not really a scribble. What it is, it's a roadmap. It's the underlying piece. It's going to get covered up at some point, unless you just save these things as a understanding how the figures are going to be put together or their movements together. And once you get that rhythm going, you can move that over onto another substrate. But I think it's, and you're right. I mean, I personally occasionally will go and do life drawing, but not enough. I mean, it's enough to, I know people that go every week, and even that, you go once a week. Is that enough? Really to really do the job you want to do.
Yeah.
Can you draw a figure from your head without something being there? That's the next step, and
Yeah.
of memory, right? And learning proportions and abstracts and how an arm fits and how long's the leg, or how long your leg you want it to be.
And what you want to express. I find if you're trying to express movement, then like traditional proportions for figures really don't matter. I mean,
At a certain point, yeah.
you can extend arms or make legs really long, or you know, just anything that will enhance the movement is fair game, as far as I'm concerned.
It's your drawing. You don't have to defend it. You can do whatever you like with it. And I think when you get into a defensive mode, it's not proper. Then what that does is it takes you away from doing what you want to do, right? If you have to defend your work to a professor or to somebody else, that means you are somewhat succumbing to his idea or her idea of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And it's your interpretation of, say, the assignment, and your interpretation of it. And that's how you create individuality. Otherwise, you create conformity, and we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah. And it's just important to, as an artist, especially when you've been doing it a long time, I think it just comes naturally that you develop a really thick skin, and in the end, a lot of comments that get made, I always tell people I have 5 or 6 people that I know who I trust when they make comments on my art, and everybody else is just kind of, okay, that's all right, but I don't take it very seriously. Yeah.
How is your presence in art galleries? Are you showing in galleries anywhere?
No, I never have. Well, I shouldn't say I never have. Very, very early in my career, in the late 70s, early 80s, I dealt with two galleries, and I got screwed over royally by both of them. And I decided at that time that I wasn't going to deal with them anymore. So I haven't. And as you said earlier, it's a matter of knocking on doors and making your own way. And there's, of course, pros and cons to that. But looking back over 50 years, I'm happy with the decision I made. And I've built a career for myself through it without galleries. And without going through the traditional Canadian system of grants and all that stuff. I've never done any of that. It's just kind of been on my own.
Yeah. Well, the grant process is a process in itself. Like, it's learning how to. I mean, it's great to have them there for your help to get you started, but it's sort of like it can be a bit of a crutch. Not unlike doing like drawing from photos or referencing things like that, rather than doing them in life if you can. Depending on a certain, I guess we need income as artists, and if that's part of their oeuvre, is to make sure they have some grants and funding for their projects that they're working on, and then they do other things. It all adds up to income at the end of the year, so you can afford to be what you are. Otherwise, you're working half time at Starbucks. And if you want to be a full-time artist, it's tough life. I mean, you've got to think about today and tomorrow all by yourself, and it's great that you can survive for 50 years and move your career and say, I did what I wanted to do.
I tell people that I paint doing portraits, I always tell them it's a leap of faith. And I think in choosing a career as an artist, that's a leap of faith as well. And you just have to believe that even when times are tough, that something's going to happen, something's going to come along. And in my experience, it always has. So, yeah.
No, can you tell us a little bit about, this is the dancer that came forward, am I correct?
Yes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is a different dancer. This is Ina Gutierrez, and she danced with Alberta Ballet as a principal dancer.
Oh, okay.
She came from Cuba, National Ballet, and this is a portrait I did of her, based on her favorite movement, and I tried to express the motion of the movement, which is her turning in a 360-degree turn with her leg extended. So I just tried to capture that movement and also incorporate colors that would be indicative of Cuba. I love this painting. Ina and I we were planning on having an event to unveil this painting, in which she and her husband were going to dance, and then the painting would be unveiled. And it was all set to go, and we had to cancel it 2 weeks before it was ready to go because COVID showed up, which was really kind of devastating for both of us, because we really had a nice evening planned, and I would have loved to have had this unveiled in public. But it's one of my favorites.
COVID really did do a number on artists quite a bit, and on everybody, but all the public openings and the things that we like to go to for our fellow artists and their events and the celebrations that can happen around the creative period that required socializing and, a hug and the things that we miss, like really that connection with our audience and our friends and our family and stuff around the creativity that we're doing and sharing. So it's but it was
like a door slammed shut.
No, it was.
Yeah.
And, this is a very strong piece. I loved it. It's centered and it's off to the bottom of the page, and the blacks and the purples work amazingly. So it's not just the black, the purple gives it a lot of life. I mean, I'll call it purple, but, and she's got that. How do you go about getting these figures, like her in the 360? What did you do to do that?
Well, I had asked, I've done several paintings like this, and I always ask the dancers to show me their favorite dance move. And I'm sorry, I can't remember what this one is called, but what we do is we get together, and I've known all the dancers that I've painted pretty well, so it's a fairly easy process. But I get together with them, and then they repeatedly go through their move, and I do some video of it, just so that I can watch it at home, and then I just do some action work on the video and find some poses that I think are representative and that work together, of the different kind of stages of the move. And then I just do like gesture drawings of those poses, and then build them up into the finished piece.
Nice. No.
Yep, the one on the left, the green one, is I started a triptych many years ago. The first one isn't here, but it's called The Rising, and they're allegorical paintings. But The Rising is basically humans emerging from the earth and rising up to seek enlightenment. Is a very dark painting. The second one, which is here, called Ancient Wisdom, is I firmly believe that no matter how we got onto this earth, the very first things we did was beat out rhythms on hollow logs and dance around fires. And that's what this painting is about, connection with the earth and the world around us. Uh, and almost an homage to the arts, which I think is a critical link to humanity and the world and the universe around us. I haven't started the third painting yet. I'm a little worried about it, because as I see it now, it's going to be the decline of civilization rather than the ascent of civilization. It would probably include a lot of orange, but but I'm going to leave that alone for a while here and hope for better things.
Yeah, we're getting a bit of feedback on your mic and your, but we'll get through.
Apologies.
No, none at all. But no, it's just the emerald one is just amazing. It's got this beautiful light. It feels very mythical, and in a sense, and it's just the emeralds and the greens and it almost feels some of that early circus stuff of Picasso's work. I mean, I think I get that from that checkered sleeve feeling and the simplicity of figures that were used, but not so. Yeah, and your third one would be interesting. It's kind of yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Well, that is one of my favorites from doing drawings at Alberta Ballet. There's two studios there, Studio A and Studio B, and I always tried to get to class about a half hour before class started in the morning, because I'm so privileged to have been able to sit there in that environment and see dancers at a time when they were just like warming up and practicing and chatting together. And there was always, in the summertime, there was always this flood of light that came into Studio B, like intense sunlight. And that's what this painting is about. It's just gesture poses of the dancers in this really, really bright, warm light that was so inviting for me.
Yeah, no, I've seen some very beautiful ballet paintings, and a lot of times it's it's down almost down to the slipper and the stockings, and their warm up stage they're all folded over and pulled down on top of the slippers, and they look really baggy almost. And you have this beautiful leg coming out of them, and my daughter did ballet as well a little bit, so I kind of understand some of it a little bit. But I usually sat in the waiting room waiting for they didn't invite me in to do drawings, and I sat there and did my homework, and I was
Well, I was very, very fortunate to be invited there, and I was accepted by the dancers as almost part of the class.
nice.
Uh, you know, the it was I did a painting of one of the dancers, and it's called "View from the Corner," and that's exactly what my experience was. I set up my little easel in the corner and stayed out of everybody's way, and just stayed quiet. And I got to see things that the very, very few people get to see about dance and ballet.
Yeah, backstage is a beautiful thing in any entertainment, whether it be theater, music.
Yeah,
It's nice to the backstage view is something the audience never gets to see.
yeah, that's right.
This is
This one, oh, go ahead.
the one behind you. This is the one that's behind you. It's a
Yes, it
real
is.
kaleidoscope of color and figures. I mean, look at the figures in here. Just it's kind of a combination of this 360 dance to it almost feels like descending a staircase. The kind of a
Right. Yeah,
feeling. Yeah.
yeah. This uh, when I stopped going to Berlin Ballet, excuse me, because of COVID, I started going about 2 years ago to rehearsals for a Bollywood company in Calgary called Spark Productions. And it was enlightening for me because the energy and uh, the energy and the motion of Bollywood is so different from ballet. And this particular piece, that's all I wanted to express was kind of the vibrancy and the color and the motion and the excitement. It's like even though they're choreographed pieces, it seems like everybody is doing things individually. It's just wild watching it for me.
Yeah.
And this particular piece was based on a choreographed piece they were doing that had big banners that they were waving around as well. And so a lot of the kind of swooping movements, the yellows and the reds that are interspersed through are based on those banners. But yeah, it's just constant motion, constant music, constant energy, and I loved it.
Yeah, I get that feeling that the banner slicing that's curved coming through across the horizon horizontally there. Excuse me, and it just offers an opportunity to change the color up.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and but it works really well, and I love the facial things that carry you through this thing. I mean, the eye placement and the heads going from warm to cool to warm colors. I don't know. It's just it I guess it's a surprise. I mean, this is it's a candy box, this one.
mhm, yep,
And it's a diptych, it looks like, right? 2 panels? Yeah.
yes. I set it up so that my studio isn't big enough that I could have done a 6 foot by 8 foot piece. So I did two 4 foot by 6 foot pieces that were designed so they could they could hang side by side and kind of view as one piece.
Yeah. I kinda design things around how they'll fit into my vehicle so I can carry them from one so I have a maximum 48 that I can use, and
Yeah.
I tell you, some days you stretch yourself to get everything in the vehicle to go. It's just so expensive to
Mhm,
um, when you have multiple shows and you have no funding to pay for
mhm.
um, courier charges
Right.
to ferry your work from one gallery to another. A lot of times my show I'd have a showing might only be up for part of a week.
Yeah.
You can't really afford to go and hire a U-Haul and a bunch of different things to
Exactly.
haul your work around. Uh,
Exactly.
so you got to watch where your dollars are spent.
Yep.
And but it's great to show. Have you shown publicly a lot of your work, like rather than in
No,
a situation?
no, most of the exhibits that I've had have been sponsored by Canadian Sports Association,
Yeah.
um, or sorry, Canadian Sports Institute, or the Sport Hall of Fame, or the Ampersand. Uh, this show, actually, the show I had to unveil this particular piece took place at the Ampersand, where the Canadian Sport Heroes collection were on display. So it was kind of a double-edged exhibit. Um, I've done a couple of public galleries, but almost all of my work has been shown as a result of outside organizations like sponsoring the show
So
or
have you sorry, have you done anything with live music, or I guess even say the symphony? So in the same context that you do with ballet, to sit in on the symphony and do those actions that are happening. It's a large group of people uh, in a performance.
I've given that a lot of thought, but I haven't done that particular thing yet. I had a couple of kind of live performances. One with Alberta Ballet, I had an exhibit in their studios and did a live painting. Two of the dancers kind of went through a morning class routine live, and I painted them as they were performing. And the other one was at an event in Fernie, and a ballet dancer by the name of Yukichi Hattori, who was with Alberta Ballet, had done a piece called Reverence, choreographed a piece called Reverence, which his students were performing. And while they performed that piece, I did a live painting of them. So kind of performance art. It's not one of my favorite things to do. There's a lot of pressure.
It is, yeah. My goodness, we're getting some feedback here. Coming anyway. Performance work is a completely different thing. I mean, it's really, you're there as entertainment, and you're just cringing that something better turn out what you're painting. It's sort of like art battle. It's like, I don't know if I want to be in a situation. No, I can't do a painting in 20 minutes. Yes, I can, but I don't want you to know it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that 20 minutes goes by real fast.
As we're finding out now, we're just getting into the tail end of your landscape work. So for some of our landscape painters who've been seeing some of your other work, but these pieces, this piece is from Saskatchewan. We talked about this piece. I think we've been in the same space. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience you had when you're driving across the country and you find a space like this? How does that affect you? Like, how do you remember that? How do you?
Yeah, I go on a road trip. I try to once a year, and the past quite a while I've been going through Saskatchewan. I love Saskatchewan, especially in the north. This particular piece is from an area around North Battleford, and it's by no means a precise location. It's kind of a made-up piece. But I was driving along the highway and came across this little dirt road that went off to the left. And just on a whim, I followed that road for quite a while until I came to a crossroads. And I stopped at this crossroads in the middle of nowhere. And there were canola fields everywhere you looked. You could turn in a 60-degree circle and it was nothing but yellow. And it was just a memory for me, just a pure memory. That little band of green and the canola fields. So sometimes I do a little sketch. Sometimes I'll take a picture or two, but most of the times it's based on just pure memory.
Yeah. Here we go. So is this the foothills? Somewhere in the foothills?
Yeah, this is the foothills, and this is kind of the view going towards my house. This is based on the forest fires in BC a couple of years ago, the wildfires. And when we looked to the west, we could see this orange sky, this orange sun, and it actually felt to me like the rocks in the mountains were, their color had changed because of the heat that was built up behind them. And this is just a painting of the difference from one side of the rocks to the other side of the rocks. And like I say, this is my home here.
Yeah, it's a great lead in the front, in the foreground, some shadows, and you go through into a mid color through the middle, and these are little sharp edged trees and landscape, but you still get a feeling of that rolling hill and the rolling valley.
Yeah.
Kind of scooting through here a bit. I love this piece. This is one of my favorite landscapes of yours, and I just love this. I mean, you sit down and guys say paint a road, and you go, "Oh my God, you want me to paint a road?" And you painted a road. I mean, this one's really, and I just love that little spark at the end of the road. I mean, there's just enough. You don't have to light everything up. There's just a little spot. I just love that.
This is the same landscape as the last painting, and this is called the road home. That little spot you were talking about is where I live.
Okay.
And there's either a highway you can take to my house, or there's this little back road that I don't ever tell anybody about. And it's one of the most beautiful views you're ever going to see of the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, it is a beautiful view. That's a great background. We're going to zip through the last one here, though, I think. This one, again, these beautiful scallops that are happening in a landscape. Nobody does this. It's just like, this is you. This is your signature. And I think I love this piece. It's lots of energy. It feels, it's a landscape, but it's more, there's movement, there's wind. I guess I feel the wind in this one.
Yeah, this is about the wind. I was on a road trip in Ontario and went to Muskoka. This is on Lake Couchiching. And the day I sat there, I was doing a little sketch, and I was sitting by the lake, and the wind was howling. I could barely keep my sketch pad in my hand. And that's what this is. This is Lake Couchiching with the wind blowing like crazy on a very gray day.
Yeah. Well, they have gray days there too, but yeah. But it's that lovely gray palette, the browns and the grays, and they work lovely together. I think we're good, Stephen. Yeah.
We're done. It was a beauty, as we say.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
yeah.
So
Awesome.
it's very, I like it because it's all vivid in color, and it's very, I want to say that this is a compliment because, I don't know anything. I draw a stick figure and I'm happy. It's almost childlike, and I like it. And I mean that as a compliment. Because it's the simplicity of it, even though it's very difficult, even with the mountains, the people, whatever. But it's just very kind of like, rock'em sock'em robot kind of feel to it, which is childlike, which it makes you smile at everything. It's like, the mountains, it's like, oh, very cool, very cool. It's not like every little detail, like there's a bird and there's a tree and there's like, I got that twig. It's kind of, it has a wonderment to it. So yeah, no, it's absolutely gorgeous. There you go. That's my critique. He won't use that. That's what he'll cut out before he puts it on his website. Like this guy done. So here's the question we ask all the artists: what do you charge? Like if someone says, "I love your piece," like whether it's the one behind you or one, whatever. Forget a portrait. But if someone says, "I love your work, I want to buy a painting," what's the range from what to what?
There's a large range, and it depends on the size of the painting and how much time it takes me to do it.
Right.
The smaller painting, that Lake Couchiching painting right at the end, is, what is it? I think 18 by 24, and I would think that would be, and I haven't looked recently, but that's going to be probably around 2,500.
Okay.
The 3 foot by 4 foot ones, like the one of the canola, that would be about 7,500.
Okay.
And the big 4 foot by 6 foot ones of portraits, that would range, but in around 15,000.
Okay, and that's Canadian. So for everybody in the United States, $4.50, and in Europe, you just pay for shipping. And pretty soon you'll be the 51st state. It won't matter. It will
something like that.
So there you go. And then Greenland is 52nd, Panama's 53. So it'll be great. That's very cool.
Yeah.
No, but your work is absolutely gorgeous. So Gordon's links will be below. So if you want to reach out to Gordon, click his link and you can do. If you can't figure out how to do that, which a lot of our fans not too smart, reach out to the show and we'll put you in touch either with Paul or Gordon and they'll make it happen. And he does ship, I'm going to assume, worldwide. And there you go. And that's it.
Definitely look at his website because I didn't show everything and we kind of scooted through some of it, but he's got some amazing pieces in there, and all the prices are on it, and the availability as well. So that's great.
Open for commissions too. So
there you go. Yeah, well,
and Donnie, you were talking about orange before. Don, he's got a lot of orange in Canada. Donnie, he can paint you. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to help out. Bring in the love in. Bring in the love. So
we won't go down that. Hopefully, go down that.
Don't go down that path. Yes. Watch. That's the commission he's going to get. Anyway. Thank you for everybody for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Gordon, once again, a pleasure. Paul, it was nice to meet your twin. And everybody, will see you next Thursday with another artist from Canada. Have a great week, everybody. Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you.
I do.